I kept hearing this sort of voice in my head. You're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Welcome, you guys. We're on episode 42. Now, I want to tell you a little story. So, it was a while back in my life. I was sitting in a boat in the Gold Coast Broadwater in Queensland, Australia. Now, if you don't know what this is, it's basically like an inland waterway with like marinas and beaches up in Queensland. So I was on a boat in this beautiful waterways. I was enjoying canapes, we had champagne, we had these things called Moreton Bay bugs, kind of like mini lobster, and just living it up, right? There were about 15 of us from all walks of life on this boat. There was an heir of a large business, a journalist, authors, and more. I can't remember all the different types of people on the boat. We had all just wrapped a show, Date with Destiny, which was an event, or is an event that Tony Robbins runs, and he was running it for years in Queensland in Australia. And all these people were various sort of crew members and trainers for Tony. And then me, and I used to help coordinate the trainers, which are basically people that would come on site for Tony Robbins and head off teams of participants and support them throughout the event. So there's 15 of us, right? We just finished this Tony Robbins event. We're celebrating on this boat. And then there was this moment. Have you guys ever had a moment that hits you so hard that it literally takes your breath away and you know your life is going to change forever? Like you're literally, I can only describe it as this moment where the boat literally felt like it was spinning. I was on the boat, and no, not from the champagne. I know what you're thinking. I wasn't drinking that much. But the boat felt like it was spinning. It was a moment for me. I kept hearing this sort of voice in my head. You're the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. Now, it's a quote by Jim Rohn, which was one of Tony Robbins' mentors, and it really struck a chord with me. I think he's probably said it a lot by the time, over the years. At that point, I'd been working for Tony for roughly 3 years. And I'd heard that quote quite a bit, right? But it really, really, really struck a chord with me in that moment. I was sitting in the boat looking at the 5 people around me at that moment. And then I thought about the 5 people I spent the most time with back in San Diego, which is where I was living at the time. And I realized something. I realized these 5 people in front of me on the boat, this heir of a large company, a journalist, successful business owners, incredible people that I aspired to be like. And then the 5 people back at home waiting for me, I just knew I was never going to live my potential. You see, I was in a relationship for 7 years with somebody, and it was completely holding me back. I had a side business and, outside of working for Tony Robbins, and we were producing shows in clubs. Look, you can imagine sometimes that's not the best company to keep. Like if you're a promoter and you're putting on shows, it was amazing. But, there's a lot of drugs going around and interesting, judgmental people, you name it. It's not necessarily the best peer group. Not that I was a saint or anything at that time. I just knew that if I stayed around the current scene I was in, I was not going to grow as a person. So in that moment, I knew without a doubt I needed to make some change. So guys, I went back to San Diego. I broke up with my partner of 7 years. I gave my notice to my job at Tony Robbins. And I remember everyone saying to me, Heather, you can't do this. There's no way you're going to move to Australia. You want to move to Australia, which is what I wanted to do at the time. And I literally, all I heard was everyone saying how impossible it was, how strict the visa rules were, how there's no way. What, you're going to get up and I was 28 at the time. You're 28, you're going to leave the US, you have a great job, blah, 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 all the stuff people say, right? I just let all the opinions roll off my back. I never let them sink in. You see, I had a calling at that moment on that boat. Something in me said I needed to change my life. I needed to change my peer group. And for some reason, Australia was calling to me. And yeah, look, Australia is a pretty cool country. If you've been here or if you live here, it's an amazing country, and it called my name in my heart. So, guys, I had 3 months to leave San Diego. I knew this is what I wanted to do. 3 months. I was going to move from San Diego and move to Australia. How? I didn't really know at this point. I just knew without a doubt I was going to make it happen. So I had to go see my family. So I left San Diego, where I was living at the time. I was going to leave San Diego, go see my family, and then head to Sydney with nothing more than 2 suitcases. That's what I had planned for. 2 suitcases, a visitor's visa, and the money I got by selling my little silver Honda CRV car at the time. That was my plan. Quit my job. I'm going to go with 2 suitcases and money that I sold from my car. And I had this problem, like everything I had sort of worked out, but I had this problem. I had this apartment full of furniture, right? So I had furniture and I didn't know how to get rid of it. So this is where I know, like without a doubt, there are moments in life where if you believe so much in something that you want to do, the universe conspires to make it happen, or whatever conspires, it happens. So this was an example of that. I had the plan, I was ready, I was committed, but I had all this furniture and I needed to get rid of it. So I had a yard sale and I was able to get rid of pretty much everything, but I had my mattress. And I literally, you guys, had hired the van, rented a van, and I was going to drive up to Northern California to spend a month with my family before I moved to Sydney. But I had this mattress and I had to get rid of it by the morning when I was going to leave. No kidding. I had lived in this apartment for 1 year, over a year, I think at the time. And this donations truck pulls up like next to me on the street, like literally in front of me. And the yard sale had just completed and I was just sitting there with a huge queen mattress. And it pulled up next to me and I'm like, what? And this guy gets out. It's like, you know, like a donation truck. Like, I'm trying to think in all the countries. I've been away from the States too long. I can't even think of it anymore. Like Salvation Army. That's it. It was Salvation Army, actually. So the guy jumps out of his truck and he's like, are you trying to get rid of the mattress? And I said, yes, desperately. And he goes, it looks like it's in good shape. I could take it. He goes, do you know what's so weird? Is I live next door to you. And something inside of me said, oh, just drive the truck home today for lunch. He says, drive my car, but I was just happened to be on a run, dropping up or picking up furniture. And I'm like, yeah, just drive the truck home. He's like, I have never driven my work truck home ever before. And that day he did. How crazy is that? And he picked up my mattress, literally, when it was getting dark. Well, I think it was lunch. My brain says it was dark, but I think it was like 3 o'clock or something. And he picked up my mattress, you guys, and that was it. I got rid of everything I needed to within the timeline I needed to do it in order to drive up to Northern California the very next morning. So I had that beautiful, last month of stay with my family, and I had my 2 suitcases ready to go. And there I was in the airport in San Francisco, because it was Northern Cali, with my 2 suitcases, my visitor's visa to Australia, and my life ahead, knowing without the shadow of doubt that I was going to make this happen and I was meant to be in Australia. So I think the lesson here is that to follow your heart, like truly, honestly, believe in yourself and follow your heart, no matter what you need to do to make that happen, right? I know, like sometimes money is a barrier depending on where you are in your life right now, or if you have family or other personal circumstances. But if your heart is honestly being tugged to make change, do whatever you can make to make steps towards it, no matter how big or how small. It might not be moving a country like I did, but maybe it's a small step. So something in your heart that's saying, please do this, I need this. Maybe it's just a little tiny step that you can make today. And when you truly believe that you're going to get that thing, you want that thing bad enough, I do believe the Salvation Army van is going to pull up next to you in the exact moment that you need to make it happen. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in and hearing my little story about how I suddenly realized I was going to leave one life behind and start another one in a different country. I'll talk to you next time.